All right, well, I want to welcome Steve McCreary here today visiting with us from Collings Guitars in Austin, Texas. He's the managing director, and they're celebrating their, 45th year this year?
Yes, sir. Collings Guitars.
And 45 years of building handcrafted guitars in Austin, Texas. And there's a lot of history there, a lot of history with yourself and when you joined Bill Collings. It's been a long journey, I suppose.
It's been a long, fun journey. Actually, Bill started building. He was doing stuff up in Michigan before he moved to Houston in the mid-'70s, and he started building down there, and came to Austin in 1980. And so, since 1980, he's been doing building guitars in Austin. And
Right.
First employee hired in '89, and then
That was Bruce Van
the
Wert.
rest is history. Yeah, Bruce and another gentleman named Kurt Mottweiler, who went on to build wooden cameras. So very much
Interesting.
a craftsman and artist, much like Bruce, who had been a boat builder and taught boat building classes up in Massachusetts. And I met Bruce. I was managing the first Whole Foods restaurant outside of a store, and Bruce came in as building the bar as a craftsman. So that's where I met Bruce. But Bill had met him because he heard that he was building boats, and so that just turned into this great partnership.
Well, and in your youth, you were a stonemason, or younger days, which is a lost art, one of the oldest crafts in the world.
Yeah, in my 20s, that's what I did, and I had the good fortune to work for people like Willie Nelson, and we got to do this really cool project for the heiress to Morton Salt. So we got to do really nice work, and my partner at the time ended up going to architecture school, ended up designing Bill Collings' house.
Is that how you met Bill?
No, I met Bill. Tom Ellis brought Bill out to a rock job I was working on. That was probably 1980. But it was a creative outlet and a lot of fun to do. And like I said, we got to work for some cool projects, and we got to do artwork with what we were doing there. And our business card said, "We may be slow, but we're expensive," and that's kind of sort of followed us along.
That's interesting.
To some extent, yeah.
And Bill invited you to come work with him?
Yeah, and he had a guy, he bought this building out where the old shop was. He was downtown where Bruce worked and a few other guys with him. And he bought a building out kind of near where the new shop is, the shop we've been in now for 14 years. So in '91, he bought a shop out just west of Austin. It was an old feed store, and moved into it in '92, which is when I started. And then we designed and built a new shop and moved into it in early 2006. So we've been there 14 years this month. And I need to apologize. I came in from NAMM last night, so I've got a little bit of that.
I understand.
What we lovingly and affectionately refer to as NAMthrax. So if I have to cough or if I sound a little hoarse,
not a problem at all.
it's from that, yeah.
Well, what got you interested in building guitars? I mean, passion for music?
I was a music nut, and being in Austin as a teenager and all through my 20s and stuff, I was a huge music fan and running all over town all the time, which I still do. And after meeting Bill, and he had a guy kind of working for him doing admin stuff and front office stuff, and Bill didn't have much interest in that throughout his whole career. Didn't necessarily even,
Not surprised.
like working, just was into building stuff and didn't really particularly enjoy, or wasn't a natural thing for him to deal with, the public and stuff. And
Right.
and that's kind of more I'm certainly that's more my territory than I mean, with stonemasonry you can get away with stuff you don't have to do to the thousandths of an inch. So my and Bill's partnership was kind of really a good balance between working with people and him, of course, creating, designing, building.
Did you ever imagine back then that you'd be managing and directing the entire company?
Well, not necessarily. And there's three of us that actually manage the company: the head of engineering, Clint Watson, and our head of HR, Ruth Archuleta, and I are kind of the executive kind of steering committee. Then we have some directors that work with us for sales and production and electrics and acoustics, and we've got a great team in that group of folks.
Well, that's a question I think a lot of our customers have asked. They have asked multiple times since Bill's passing. Excuse me. what's the future of Collings Guitars? And, you know, have we lost all creativity there at that level? And I have my own answer to that, but let's hear it from your point of view.
Well, we certainly have not lost all creativity. We have the good fortune of many of these people, the ones I mentioned earlier, and then Bruce Van Wart, who's been there since '89, and Aaron Huff, who runs the electric division, and Clint. All these people worked for decades with Bill, and they're all extremely talented people, in their own right. But having that one-on-one relationship and working relationship with Bill, who is an incredible, really a one-of-a-kind
No question.
person and artist and craftsman, and all these things that have gotten us to where we are. They've spent a lot of time with him, and so we're carrying on very much in the same vein. And it's a real mission to us to do that. I mean, there's people come from. Our mission is to keep going what Bill started and what he taught us all, and I can't imagine a better mission to have to do. And it's not easy, and there's a reason no one else does what we do. And
Right.
he didn't like to settle on things, and he didn't like to compromise, and so that's where we're just continuing on with that. With fortunately a great group of people that learned direct from him. And
Well, my observation had been from the outside looking in is that Bill, like people around him, that he challenged and they challenged him back. He wasn't the kind of guy that would surround himself with yes men.
understatement.
Understand.
He and I always had, I met him in 1980 and didn't start working there until 92. So we were friends for a long time. We worked out together. We did all kinds of stuff together. But he did not like yes men, and we had over the years tentative relationships somewhat because I would question things sometime or whatever, and he did not. He would let me know that he didn't like that, and always just because looking at things from a little bit different lens, than he
Right.
looked at as this artisan, craftsman, and engineer, and designer and stuff. And I'm none of those things.
Right.
But it worked out really well for getting us where we are.
Yeah, I think progressively it seems like he's surrounded himself with creative people that are super talented in their own right, and that also challenged him back with some different ideas. And
That's an understatement.
That made a team.
We
That
have
made
an
a hell of a
amazing team,
Yeah.
and it's not easy to do this because it's. I've talked about this before. It's we're creating art in a production environment, and that's not easy. Art and industry, art and commerce have never been, all that easy. Which in a town like Nashville, I think people understand that.
Yeah.
And even the design of the labels in our guitars, which is guitars and logs floating downstream from
Right.
a factory of smoke belching mill and stuff, and he wanted production style building, but he wanted the artwork to come out of it.
Right.
And he knew he could build guitars by himself at this level, but he really wanted a group of people to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Very interesting. Well, what's your favorite part of the process, and what do you like most about your job?
I really, sounds cliche, I like it all. There's certainly challenges, and I like those challenges that we do multiple product lines, electrics and mandolins and flat tops and the Waterloo guitar line and stuff. And I really like trying to keep all the balls in the air. And there are a lot of balls in the air
There's a lot
all
of
the
balls
time.
in the air, yeah.
Personnel to do the skill stuff that we do, and there's just a lot of stuff, but I like that. And of course the fun part, going to the NAMM show and seeing old friends and showing stuff, and
Right.
and working with artists. That's all fun. Production in itself is not necessarily fun, but more fun than most anything else I could think of to be doing.
Well, and the artist relations part is probably very, very gratifying, I would think.
Yeah, it's we have a great guy, Mark Althans, that does a lot of work with artists, and the guys we work with are all top notch and very humble people,
Right.
Which is not necessarily the case with in every situation.
Right.
We have a great group of people that we work with, and that is a real fun part of the work.
Yeah, very gratifying, I understand. So you introduced some new models at the NAMM show this past week.
We did. We, for the first time, we did a 00 size 14 fret guitar, which we've been doing for a long time, a 00 12 fret,
Right.
slotted head, small body 12 fret guitar. And people had been asking about a 14 fret and stuff, and so we did it. And it's this really cool size guitar. It fits in this real sweet spot between a small body guitar and a more full size guitar. And, it's like I said, short scale, fits under your arm real well. It's got a broader waist. And with that scale length and that broader waist, but the smaller size, you get this real great, this real pleasing mid-range, but still got, it's large enough to have headroom and it's great for single note stuff and for strumming. And
Dimensionally, did you borrow the body shape from a 00 or no? I mean, did you borrow the body shape and dimensions from your existing 00 12 fret?
Well, it has to be different because the body's not as long and stuff, and it's it's similar. It's maybe a little closer in shape to an OM than a single body size, but it's just got this. Yeah, it's great. It's perfect guitar for women players and for really anyone who's writing and playing at home and sitting on the couch and even recording, touring. It's just something we were kind of excited about, and it went over really well at the show. And we also we offer it in the traditional series, which you know what that is,
right.
And we even started the 00 12 fret in the traditional series too, for the show. We also, on our traditional series guitars, we are offering a satin finish. The Julian Lage model has this vintage satin finish.
Very thin.
It's really thin and it feels good and sounds good, and so we're doing that now in the traditional guitars, and that's a really cool thing. We also did some neck construction, internal neck construction, a little bit different on those guitars, trying to balance things out, loosen things up, lighten things up even more, and
that's cool.
That's going over really well. Yeah. We also have an electric project we're working on, and we kind of did a tease at the NAMM show. It's not a hard launch, but we've been working on this project for quite a while with Julian Lage,
right,
who's an amazing human being and an amazing player.
He was a good friend of Bill's.
We became very close with Julian on the acoustic model we did for him, and he wanted to do something. He reached out to us about doing something on the electric world, and had some ideas, and so it's been a long project. Again, very rewarding and satisfying working with an artist at that level, and getting to do, watch the team. You mentioned the creative team without Bill, and like I said, these guys that have worked with him are all really talented guys and very dedicated and total conviction into moving things forward. And so this project's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
And there's challenges working, with an individual and kind of getting their kind of desires and their kind of dreams about a guitar into the actual guitar, and then something you can reproduce.
We deal with that.
Yeah.
Designing guitars.
Yeah. But that went over really well. There'll be probably a hard launch in the spring sometime.
Looking forward to that. That's great.
But that was real exciting at the show.
Yeah, it was great in pictures I saw too. And let's see, what else? You this year recently released a small batch of ukuleles. Any plans for moving back into those?
We did. I don't think we'll go back into it as a full time. We didn't even put these on the website. We had parts left. We stopped building ukes 3-4 years ago,
right, and
still had parts around just because we just had so much going on. The Waterloos were happening. We couldn't really do everything. Bill liked to do a lot of stuff, and we just couldn't do it all.
Right.
But we still had parts around, so we made a small batch, over the summer, and people liked it, so we did another little run here recently, and there's still stuff in production at the shop. We'll put out some sort of a email blast or some social media about it, letting people know we have them, but it's not going back into full production. Cool. But they're awesome ukuleles.
Oh, they're awesome.
And people really liked it, and we enjoy building them. It's exactly the same amount of work as building a guitar.
Right.
It's just smaller. But it's we're gonna do another batch, and maybe we'll do a batch every year, 2 years,
cool,
or something like that.
Sounds like a brilliant idea. Well, thanks for coming to visit. I hope you like the new shop.
This new shop, I gotta tell folks, this new shop is a beautiful place. We're in this old warehouse built in, I think, 1924, and Bill and the Artisan group moved up recently from Franklin, Tennessee, and this is a fantastic space. I invite people to come see it. And well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man, good to see you.
You too, thanks.